Even our pure vehicles will express love differently. We will then manifest for the good of all and no other reason. That's where we're going. And this first volume gives lots of tools, instructions, ways to get there. Poems. Yeah. And I use words in interesting ways. I don't make up words. I play with words. I play with empty space. So the world matters. Oh, really? Then put your home in order. Matter matters only when we know what matter is. We think we are what matter matters, but we are all that matters, which is not matter. You cannot offend me, only offend my matter, which ultimately does not matter to me or God. The solution. My guru showed me. I to I. He washed me away. Love is left as me. David here is going to ask you some questions I've never heard.
Okay, let's start actually with the title of the book. It's subtitled The Way of Love. Love is, of course, a word with many meanings and many valences. So maybe could you talk a little bit about what you mean when you use the word love in the context of spiritual practice?
Okay, so most people see love as the opposite of hate. This is on a, what I call this level. The love that I talk about is not the love that's opposite of hate. The love that who we truly are, is underneath it all. And from what's underneath it all and rises, and then we get love and hate. Vibrations, very different. The love that I'm talking about is in the Indian tradition of Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means absolute truth. Chit, absolute consciousness. Ananda, absolute bliss or love. And that is ultimately the nature of everything. And therefore, that's the love that I'm talking about. That is who we truly are. truly our experience, not the pleasure, the echo, the shadow that we grab onto. It's the love that's underneath it all.
Okay, in order to get from the shadow to who we truly are, you place a lot of stress on the guru-disciple relationship.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of the guru-disciple relationship across different spiritual traditions and also across the levels of spiritual practice that you so often talk about in the book?
Sure. Okay. First level practice, and every tradition has, all traditions have first level, second level, and third level. And in the tradition of Kashmir Shaivism, they call it Anavapaya, means Anavapaya, Shaktipaya, Shambhavapaya. In Saint Simeon in the 10th century, in the Christian tradition, he called it first, second, and third levels. They match. And first level, we all do. Going to church, to temple, to just, it's using externals. It's without the depth of understanding that that ritual can actually have when actually done from and with the third level. Those are, we don't need a guru. We can all go in mass and practice that first level. Second level is mind using the mind. Study scripture. And that one, maybe you kind of need a teacher to understand some, but you don't need a guru yet. You study. Is each of us, or the disciple, to be able to receive grace. The guru instills in influence the disciple with grace. And then grace, the experience arises. And the understanding of those scriptures, and that's when we head toward the actual love and learning and living and being. So the guru-disciple relationship is vitally important. A lot of people don't understand it. They're wonderful, they're terrified. Oh, my Baba, Baba, and he gave me everything that was like everything. I want to have them. And that was, I've been searching for the golden mean. I've studied with many great teachers under many different disciplines. But it wasn't until I swam with the and we'll see that course. And everything it says. With that, swimming forward, forward.
You talk in that context about how important of the gurus provides is to any disciples spiritual growth. We have one group painting here. It's one of the four square.
It's the last one. I think I did 28 or 21, and they've all now been dispersed into the world across the pond and elsewhere.
And you know, so we have that. That's the concerned,
careless, worried, careful.
and we'll circle back
Yes.
to the four categories, I think. But then you've also read a couple of poems.
Yes.
So could you explain a bit more about the difference between ordinary, mundane knowledge or understanding and this experiential knowledge and understanding, and the role your painting and your poetry plays in community experiential awareness or knowledge?
Okay, so it's really easy or not easy, to intellectually begin to grasp scripture or the understanding of the mystical tradition or spiritual path. And we all think we understand it, but then when we start discussing it, we forget, not so much. But it's all based on intellectual understanding. And what the paintings, and especially now my poetry, because I'm just loving writing poetry, that it's about pretty much the space between the words. It's so important. It's the light. It gives it so that each person reading a poem or looking at a painting, they can have the opportunity to just go, oh, it catches them. It provides that glimpse.
And sometimes the space is even within the word.
Correct. For instance, when I just read real, there was no. So, together. Yes. Yes. So it's all about the experience. It is not. I remember years and years ago, I worked with some teenagers and they were musicians. And this one pianist played beautifully. But I said, no. He had all the right notes and no experience. He was dead. And you think, oh, piano, we just hit the note. I was like, oh, you hit the right notes. It's good. So I have to do it. So much new experience. And there has to be that. It has to be living fully rich in this room and across the globe hopefully there are a few people, and if someone in Taiwan is watching, there, that sense of we're in this together. It is all about us. And we are so intellectually caught, and we're so sure we know, then what happens for us is we isolate and we keep ourselves so soft. So risky. We need the guidance of the Guru. It is together. And as I read, all we manifest differently, which is so cool. Sure. We're all enjoying the pleasure of consciousness. So it's that.
And I guess one more question before we open it up to everybody here. One of the things that features in the book, and features in your book because it features in my teaching, is one of the tools that you've actually developed over years to help people along in this process, help your students actually separate out from who they believe they are. And that's the actual dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
So could you actually talk a little bit about what a dichotomy is and the role it plays and how it's used in spiritual practice?
Okay. Okay. So, okay, let's see what we have. Okay, so dichotomies started out as just simple opposites, a simple dichotomy. But each quality has its own shadow. It's either positive or negative shadow. So it comes to 4, 2 positive and 2 negative components. And each of them, they're all connected into one thing. So that if, oh, I've worked on this one element, this one quality, and I'm now clear, we have to be clear with all three. We have to be free from our attachment to all 4. Otherwise, we keep on going around merry-go-round. So, for instance, once we look at painting, and the paintings were done with 3 colors and the all color of white. And so that's all I use. And though they look very different, it's the same palette for each of the 4 squares. And the one on the left is the version consumed. The one on the right is careless, which would be the opposite of consumed. Underneath, concerned, which is a positive, is the negative of life. And the underneath careless, which is a negative, is the positive of carefree. And they're all connected. You can't get rid of one and keep all 3. You have to get rid of 4. And the way to get rid of all 4 is to own them, accept it, we'd be able to dissolve them. Because in the understanding of whether it's a dualistic system, I am most comfortable in the Indian traditions. If in a dualistic system of yoga, yoga is the stilling of all the modifications of chitta, the substrate. In the non-dual system, we are shrunken, and our job is to dissolve back to unshrunken. So we go from chitta, shrunken, to chitta, consciousness, in the non-dual system. So if we look at those, both of them, we have to be willing to still anything that attached to anything that is as an obstacle in the way of us allowing who we truly are to arise. And that's sadhya. That's all sadhya is. So what we would do is go to this one. Are you an attention getter?
Yes.
Is that okay with you?
Yes. No, no, that's not.
Are you oblivious? Not in the mix.
Yes. No. No.
No.
No.
Is that okay with you?
No. 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 Yes.
You disrupt everything entitled to be caught up. Is
Yes.
that okay with you?
Yes.
Yes. Do you run away and check out?
Yes.
Is that okay with you?
Yes. No. Actually, that's surprising. No.
No. So then what we would do is keep asking these questions, and David's responsibility is to give his not right answer, thoughtful answer, kind of question to answer, and his honest answer of the moment as it arises. And you keep at it until you get to 8 yeses. Because when you get to 8 yeses, are you attached to any of them?
No.
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 Are you any of them?
Nope.
Can you use all of them?
As a
Correct. And that's what the full. You want to do it one more
yeah,
time?
sure. Let's do it one more time.
Are you an
Yeah.
attention getter?
Yes.
Your answer was 100%. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Are you not in the mix oblivious?
Actually, it's a yes. No, it's not. It's still a no.
It's a no.
It's a no.
I'm dying for a yes.
I'm dying for a
yes,
yes,
but it's a no. Is that okay with you?
No.
No. Do you disrupt everything entitled to be caught up?
Yes.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Do you run away and check out?
Yes.
You want it to be a no.
I really wanted to be a no.
It's
It's a yes.
a
Yes.
It's a yes. Is that okay with you that it's a yes?
No.
That's your no.
That's my no.
That's your no. There you get your no.
Yeah. And as you always say, one of the most important things about it is the answers always shift.
The answers are always going to
So-
shift. It's always changing until we get completely resolved and allowed. But that means you have to be willing to be honest, without judgment, without keeping Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares. It's okay. The image is again back to matter. It's material. It is not who we are.
Thank you. And that's going to that. And now let's open it up for a few minutes to any questions that anybody else might have. And floor's open.
Yes.
When you speak of a guru, who could that be?
It has to be, from my understanding, someone who has also had a guru. There has to be a lineage. They have to have surrendered to their guru. The Shiva Sutras talk about the guru as the means. And it isn't that the guru will teach the means. The guru is the means. And so you have to have a guru in order to have the means, in order to have the means to then become. So it's someone who had a guru, who surrendered to their guru, who studied a long time. They themselves had received Shaktipat, awakening, and dedicated their lives.
Follow up.
Sure.
Can that exist? Do you see that existing outside of the spiritual practice?
100%. Every tradition, no matter what the tradition, has that lineage. 100%. It doesn't matter whether you're Sufis have it in the Muslim tradition, definitely. Christianity has it. Judaism has it. Buddhism. The different Indian philosophical traditions. People tend to clump Hinduism, but Hinduism is like so many schools. And I'm missing somebody that actually they all have any tradition would have, yes. So absolutely, language would be different. You know, we're going to call in the tradition I use it Shakti. In Christianity, it's Holy Spirit. In Guru would be the Holy Father. So that answer?
What about non-spiritual?
What's the purpose?
Personal enlightenment.
Okay, so first off, what is personal? I'm asking you.
Better understanding of the world, better understanding of self.
100%. You can study that. You need to. We all need to. But when it comes finally to getting to be who you really are, you can't do it by yourself. No one can. Do you know why no? There's a great Sufi story. Never here. God. God's here. She says that they doesn't matter. How much God always says, with the self always says, it's in the will. At some point, we have to You just heard them. Good. Yes.
Would you tell us a little bit about what you mean when you say surrender to the guru?
Yeah, give it up. It doesn't mean what we're giving up is what you never had in the first place. It's not who we are that we're getting rid of. It's who we're not that we're giving up. It's sort of like I always was fascinated by was it fire ritual or that kind of where you the entrails or whatever of the animal or whatever it's called kind of thing. And what happens is when you we never give up what we're not going to what we're going to eat. We get to eat the food and we give God the stuff we don't want, right? That's kind of what it is. We're supposed to surrender everything that is in ourselves.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you shouldn't care about surrendering it. It's okay. You're still going to make it.
I'd like to know your what made you decide to put all of this work into a book and then a second book?
So I did you mean the first book?
Yes.
Okay, the first book was called Walking Home with Baba, which I still love. And I had written it published in 2012. And that was some stories of my time with Baba and then teachings. And though we need a guru, it's always great to have things that we can just go, oh, I'm looking for this, an answer. Let me see, and to share. And I always loved Baba's books and scriptures. And right now we're doing Yaneshwar. And oh my God, it's such a beautiful commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. And it's so alive. And though it's the written word and it's intellectual, it isn't. And so what I was doing with this book is I wanted to share its experience through the written word. And I was just, I gotta do this. That's it. Yes.
I wanted to ask about the third level.
Okay.
The guru provides an experience that we can't get any other place.
Mhm.
I just wanted to understand more about the nature of that, where that was.
Okay, the third level of the guru, you need the guru to really fulfill the third level. The third level is using the will. The first level uses our five senses. The second level uses our mind, our intellect, and the third level uses the will. And it's the wonderful describing of that third level is by a mere orientation of the will. Just so we're not doing per se, just the will helps us. It sort of like steadies us to stay, to remain, to rest in the heart. And by the heart, I don't mean the physical heart. I don't mean the subtle heart of thinking in our mind. I don't mean the causal part in deep sleep. I mean super causal, the place that heals is called the king. And that's so our job, the moon helps pierce through all those bodies, all those layers to then rest.
But you said that the guru reaches from that suprapartal place out to us, so we can find the middle. Is that?
The guru reaches further from them. Yeah, and reaches out, and that's grace. That would be the grace, and that's when the disciple wants so longing that then the initiation can occur and that opening can occur. And so then grace is sort of like Bob used to say, the bird that flies to paradise has two wings, self-effort and grace. And our job is the self-effort. And remember, when I say our job, we're all the shrunken self. It's not, the true self doesn't need to do any effort. The true self is the true self. And so our job is to allow that grace to fill our lives and go in the direction that it's guidance. There's story. That is,
And it's the strength of our desire. The strength of our desire is what empowers our will. It is our will.
it isn't.
But
Our will is just another vehicle. It's a vehicle. And so each of the vehicles has to be purified. So it's our will, our desire goes in one direction or another.
Thank
Mhm.
how would you recommend that I use this book?
Mm.
Cover to cover,
You can do it cover to cover.
but what would you?
I tend to like this. I used to do the I Ching many years ago. The I Ching Chinese. I like going, okay, what do I need today? What's the poem I'm going to read today? I like doing that. It's and a different in different ways. So I'm having trouble with something. I look at the gosh, remove the obstacles. Okay, I'm having some obstacles. Maybe that's it. So it's not one way. I wouldn't say it's one. I'd say use it. Whatever. But not get, people tend to want to get rigid in something, and it's not rigid. It's not meant to be rigid. It's meant to be used. It's organic. Anything?
Absolutely. Very fun.
It's yes. Gotcha. No questions online?
Not right now. Someone, we've got messages of appreciation for your appearance and people excited to hear your thoughts. I wonder if you might, for me, expand a bit on sort of like what your personal history was with your guru and what sorts of interactions you had with this person, and
Okay.
a little bit about that relationship, if you will.
Sure. Okay, so I started out to a quick all the way back. Okay, so I went to college, went to Washington, St. Louis, studied dance, and then went on to Mills in California with a master's in dance. And while I was doing that, always in my training, even and mainly at WashU, I was always looking for the groundwater, always looking for that, wanted that ground. And I understood as a dancer that it was had to be technically proficient, but always had to. I wouldn't dance until I had gone beyond technique, and so in grad school, I spent 6 months in the studio on the floor, waiting to hear internally my own movement. And when it came out, finally, it looked like Tai Chi Chuan. So somebody said that, I went looking, I then ended up finding a master in Berkeley, and I studied very intensively. From there, I finished my master's at going to school for Tai Chi, and I would do Tai Chi all the time in the school, and it would be this most amazing experience. And then as soon as I stopped, everything went back to normal. And I wanted to have the same experience that I had when I did Tai Chi when I washed the toilet, when I walked in the street, when I hung out with friends, when I cooked a meal, whatever I did. And in walked Swami Upton. He showed up in Boston in the winter of 1974. And I didn't meet him then, but I unfortunately sat in the room with his belongings. And from there, I left. I didn't meet him. I started having dreams and visions of this man and woman, which went against completely. I had a degree in, at that point, a degree in acupuncture. Calligraphy, Tai Chi, I did Shinyu, I did other martial arts. I wasn't interested in this. And I went out, I avoided. And I went in the summer of 75. I went back to California to study with my Tai Chi teacher. And I walked in the door and he looked at me as they were done hypnotherapy. And I knew what he meant, but I didn't like it. And I walked out the door and on a lamppost, because that's back then, that's how people advertise, were posters on lampposts. And there was a poster with a picture of Baba with a phone number. And I went to the thing called a phone booth. It's called. And I just brought enough American Express checks to take the retreat that he was having in Canada. He had just gotten out of the hospital. He had us 50 more strokes, like continuous strokes. And so I went to see him before I went to Arcata. And he walked in the room, and there were a lot of people. And the culture of the place was not what I was attracted to. And he had, like, there was this blue light that came in, and I really didn't care because I had already had so many internal and external super sensuous experiences. So I went to Arcata and I went up to him and I said to him, I have had something in And he always wears sunglasses because the light really bothers me. And he pulled me up onto his lap, kind of. His face was like this. And he took off his glasses and looked at me. And he looked at me and he looked at me. So and he took his, he did this to sleep and hopefully and threw me back to the experience that I had of his room before. But forever. And that moment, really beautiful. And it wasn't thinking this way, it was everything. It was completely silent, completely full. Very intimate and very expressive. And I went back to Boston, and at that point I had no school parties. I pronounce it, I'm being very careful. I pronounce it Harvard Square, but it's Harvard Square. So I went back to Harvard Square, and at that point, David Rockefeller at that place, and everything fell into place for me to digest everything. And by March of 1976, I moved in full time to be with him until he left his body in 1982. And during that time, I was in charge of security with the ashram in India, especially. And I had 30 guys under me, the Gurkhas, Indian, Nepalese. And Baba gave me a stick and told me not to be authentic. And I had a very personal relationship with him. And every day in Nashville, in India, after lunch, he would come out and make back stairs. And I would, my job was to go and stand up and be with him. And that was where he taught me. And it was done through experience. And he would sometimes he'd bring out somebody their food, or he'd ask me to go do something. But most of the time, it was silent. And he would sit there, and I would stand there. And it just kept on going. And me would dissolve a little bit more. And I was his appointment secretary during the world tours. When we went to Australia, all of mainland the US around, and did that. Very intense. And then, yeah, it was a very personal relationship with the teaching, because he knew what I wanted, and he knew what I needed, and he knew I was tough enough to keep up. And I would say no. I had to say no. And his appointment secretary, and finally, at the end, when we went back to finish for the last 4 years, he had me in charge of his books, the library, his library, which was this huge Beautiful, beautiful light. The moon is around. And from there, I could see him.
Thank you.
An example of that.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking.
And thank you so much for sharing your book with us and your time, both of you. And thank all of you for being here this evening. Please feel free to take the rest of this time to talk amongst yourselves and come and grab a copy of the book. And maybe Rohini would be so kind to sign some of the books if that's something you'd like to do.
Sure. I have a pen. I can write it still. Thank you again for having me. Did you know, were there people from, I think there's my other son was in Taiwan.
All in all, we had about 25 people watching.
Oh, that's cool. Cool. Yeah.
And we've got a few things.